Have you ever been in a conversation where everybody is laughing, and you're sitting there wondering, what exactly are we laughing at? Everybody else somehow understands the joke. Everybody understands the situation. Everybody seems to know the secret rules of life. And you're just there thinking, did they send out a group email and forget to include me? Seriously, sometimes it feels like the entire world got an instruction manual for being human, and yours got lost in shipping. You look around and people seem so comfortable doing things that make absolutely no sense. They follow trends they don't even like. They agree with people they don't agree with. They laugh at jokes that weren't funny. Then they go home and wonder why they're exhausted. Meanwhile, you're sitting there like, am I the weird one here? Now, before somebody jumps into the comments saying, I knew it, I'm the chosen one. Easy there, superhero. This video is not about being better than anybody. Nobody is getting a crown today, nobody is receiving magical powers, and unfortunately, nobody is getting a dragon. This is simply about being different, because according to Carl Jung, some people naturally experience life in a way that most people don't. They notice things others miss. They ask questions other people never think to ask. And sometimes they feel like they accidentally got dropped onto the wrong planet. You know that feeling when everybody seems to understand what's happening, and you're standing there thinking, are we all watching the same movie? Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. And here's what I want you to do. As we go through these signs, keep score. Every time a sign sounds exactly like you, give yourself 1 point. But be honest. Don't be giving yourself points for everything. Some of you are so competitive you'll hear, you breathe oxygen, and immediately give yourself 3 points. Relax. We're using the honor system. Now, if you end up with all 7 signs, there's a very good chance you've confused your parents, your teachers, your friends, and at least one co-worker who still doesn't know what to do with you. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever snack is secretly disappearing during this video, and let's find out if you really have a rare personality that most people simply can't understand. Sign number 1. You notice things other people miss. You know that friend who walks into a room and notices absolutely nothing. The couch could be on fire, the ceiling could be missing, a giraffe could be sitting at the dinner table, and they'd still ask, anything new? Meanwhile, you walk into the same room and immediately notice someone's mood changed. The energy feels weird. A picture frame moved 3 inches. A person smiled but didn't mean it. Somebody says they're fine, and your brain instantly says, nope, that's a fake fine. You don't always know how you know. You just know. It's like your mind is constantly collecting tiny clues, little details, small signals, micro-expressions, changes in tone, changes in behavior. And here's the funny part. When you point these things out, people often look at you like you're a detective in a crime movie. You say, I think something's bothering him. And they respond, what? How? You don't have a logical explanation. You just picked it up. Then, 3 days later, the truth comes out. And suddenly everyone acts shocked. Meanwhile, you're sitting there like, yeah, my brain sent me that email last Tuesday. Rare personalities often have strong observation skills. Not because they're trying, because they can't help it. Their minds naturally pay attention. Sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it's exhausting, because you notice everything, including things you wish you didn't notice, like when somebody starts a sentence with, I'm not trying to be rude, and you already know disaster is approaching. That's not a sentence. That's a warning label. If you've ever predicted something before it happened because you noticed tiny details nobody else saw, give yourself 1 point, and let's move on. Sign number 2. You enjoy being alone, but you're not lonely. Now this one gets misunderstood all the time. People hear likes being alone and immediately think, oh, so you hate people. No, not at all. You actually like people, in small doses, very small doses, like hot sauce. A little bit is great. Too much and you're questioning all your life choices. People with rare personalities often enjoy spending time alone, not because they're sad, not because they're antisocial, not because they're hiding from the world. They genuinely enjoy their own company. Think about it. Some people get nervous when they're alone. The moment silence appears, they grab their phone, open an app, turn on the TV, start texting somebody, anybody, a random person from 2017 if necessary. But you can sit quietly, think, reflect, dream, imagine, analyze, or simply enjoy the peace. And honestly, peace has become a luxury these days. Everywhere you go, somebody is talking, posting, arguing, recording, dancing in public for social media. Meanwhile, you're sitting there thinking, can everybody calm down for 5 minutes? One of the funniest things about rare personalities is that people assume they're lonely, but many times they're having the time of their lives. They've got snacks, they've got thoughts, they've got zero drama, they're thriving. Sometimes your favorite conversation is the one that never happened. You cancelled plans, put on comfortable clothes, stayed home, and suddenly life became beautiful again. Be honest. How many of you smiled at that one? I know you did. The truth is, being comfortable alone is a kind of strength, because it means your happiness isn't completely dependent on constant attention. You don't need a crowd around you every second. You can enjoy your own mind, and that's becoming rarer than people think. So if you've ever cancelled plans and felt happier afterward, congratulations, you might have this sign too. And no, you are not the only one, not even close. Now, before we continue, I want to know something. How many points do you have so far? 1, 2, or are you already sitting there thinking, okay, this video is getting a little too personal. If that's you, don't worry. It gets even more personal from here. Because the next signs are the ones that make people look at you and think, I don't know why you're different, but you're definitely different. Let's keep going. Sign number 3. You ask questions that make people uncomfortable, not because you're trying to start trouble, not because you're trying to argue. You just genuinely want to understand things. Most conversations stay on the surface. You know the kind. How's work? Good. How's life? Good. Everything okay? Yep. Conversation over. But your brain? Your brain wants to know what's underneath. You don't just wonder what people think. You wonder why they think it. You don't just accept things because everyone else accepts them. You ask questions. And sometimes those questions make people nervous. You'll casually ask, but why do we do it that way? And suddenly the room becomes very quiet. You start wondering if you accidentally unplugged the Wi-Fi. Rare personalities often question assumptions, not because they're rebellious, because they're curious, and curiosity is powerful. The funny thing is, people love independent thinkers. Until they actually meet one, then they're like, whoa, 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 not that independent. If you've ever asked a question and people reacted like you just opened a secret government file, you probably have this sign. Sign number 4. You can sense fake people very quickly. Let's be honest. This one is almost a superpower. Some people can be fooled for years. You, 5 minutes, sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes 1 sentence. A person walks in smiling. Everybody loves them instantly. And your brain quietly whispers, You don't necessarily dislike them. You just feel something doesn't match. The words sound good, but the energy feels off. The smile is there, but something feels forced. And here's the funny part. You usually keep it to yourself. Because every time you warn people, they think you're being negative. Then 6 months later, everybody comes back saying, you were right. And you're just sitting there eating snacks like, I know, Now let's be clear. Nobody is right all the time. But rare personalities often notice inconsistencies. People say one thing, their actions say another, and your brain catches the mismatch. It's like having an internal detector that keeps blinking. Not perfect, but surprisingly accurate. If you've ever gotten weird vibes from someone and later discovered there was a reason, give yourself another point. Sign number 5. You think about things most people ignore. This is where life gets interesting. You can be doing something completely normal, taking a walk, washing dishes, driving somewhere, and suddenly your brain decides to explore the mysteries of the universe. One minute you're making coffee, the next minute you're wondering, what actually makes a person happy? Why do people fear change? What is success really? Why do humans care so much about what strangers think? And now your coffee is cold. Again, rare personalities often spend a lot of time reflecting. Not because they're trying to. Their minds naturally wander into deeper territory. Sometimes people around you don't understand. They're discussing what happened on a reality show, and you're over there analyzing human nature. Both conversations are valid. They're just very different conversations. Your brain loves patterns, meaning, possibilities, connections. Sometimes it feels like your body is in the room, but your mind is on a road trip. And honestly, that's okay. Some of the most creative ideas begin exactly that way. If you've ever stared out a window and accidentally disappeared into your own thoughts for 20 minutes, this sign probably belongs to you. Now, here's where things get really interesting, because the final 2 signs are often the ones that make people feel misunderstood the most. Let's talk about them. Sign number 6. You value real connections over popularity. Some people want 1,000 friends. You'd rather have 3 real ones, maybe 5 if you're feeling generous. You don't care much about impressing everybody. You care about authenticity. Real conversations, real loyalty, real people, because you've learned something important. A crowded room doesn't automatically mean meaningful connection. You can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. And you can have one genuine conversation and feel completely understood. Rare personalities often look for depth. They're not interested in collecting relationships like trophies. They want quality. The funny thing is, this sometimes confuses people. They wonder why you're selective, why you're careful about who you let close. The answer is simple. Your energy matters. Your peace matters. And you don't want to spend your life pretending to be someone you're not. If you've ever chosen one meaningful friendship over 100 shallow connections, you definitely understand this sign. And now, the final sign. Sign number 7. You often feel misunderstood. This is probably the biggest one, and maybe the most emotional. Not because people dislike you, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your mind naturally operates differently. You see things differently, think differently, process differently. Sometimes you explain something that makes perfect sense to you, and people stare at you like you just spoke fluent dolphin. You're trying your best, but the message somehow gets lost, and after a while, you stop explaining everything. Not because you have nothing to say, because you've learned not everyone will understand your perspective. But here's the important part. Being misunderstood doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean you're strange, and it definitely doesn't mean you should become someone else. Some people won't understand you because they've never experienced the world the way you do, and that's okay. The goal isn't to make everybody understand you. The goal is to stay true to who you are, because the people who are meant to understand you eventually will. And when they do, you'll never have to force it. The connection will feel natural, easy, real. So let's see how you did. How many signs matched you? 1, 3, 5, all 7? Drop your number in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. And remember, having a rare personality isn't about being better than anybody else. It's about being yourself in a world that often encourages people to copy everyone around them. The world needs different thinkers, different dreamers, different perspectives. That's how new ideas happen. That's how growth happens. That's how change happens. So, if you've spent years feeling different, maybe that's not a flaw. Maybe that's exactly what makes you valuable. And if this video made you smile, nod your head, or quietly say, "Wow, that's me," then make sure you stick around for the next video, because we're just getting started. Until next time, stay curious, stay authentic, and never be afraid to be the person you were meant to be. See you in the next one.